Well, hello again. Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of English Learning. I hope you're enjoying my videos. Please subscribe, please like, please comment. Now, someone requested me to cover a topic on interviews, to talk about what you're supposed to do during an interview, before an interview, during an interview, and after an interview. Now, yeah, interviews are real life situations and we need to know how to handle them. You mostly get freaked out about an interview, and after watching this video, and I really hope I have helped you in one thing or two. So, interviews. Now you really want that dream job. You finally make an application. You finally decide to make an application, and the employer got your application, decided to call you for an interview. You're almost happy, but you remember you're not good at interviews. So what do? You think about it. What can I do? You feel like you can't go for this interview. But I'm here to remind you, always go for it. Might be the lucky one. But before going for it, please do this as you prepare for it. Always prepare for an interview. Now, what are you supposed to do before an interview? You've been told, let's say today is on a Friday, you've been told you have an interview on Monday. What will you do? Start preparing yourself at that particular time. How do you prepare yourself? Prepare the dress code, whatever you'll put on that day, prepare in advance. After that, you can go on and practice in front of the mirror. If you feel like you're chickening out, get a mirror, start practicing in front of it. Assume it's your interviewer and you'll get some courage from that. So, what are you supposed to do before an interview? First of all, start with after preparing the dress code, start gathering the information. You gather the information about that company. For me as a teacher, I'll gather information about a school or an institution. Yeah, start gathering information about that company. So you have to become familiar with the company and the person who you might be interviewing with. So try to find out, make some research, do some research about that place. Find out their history, what they do, how they do it, the things that go on in that company, who are the team players, who's the manager, who's the head of department, the department with which you are applying for. So become familiar with the company and the person and the people who you think you might meet. Do some research. Dig in on what you think you need to know. Okay, so after that, you definitely need to carry your documents. Mostly you'll be told to carry on your original documents. So make sure you organize them. As you carry the copies and the originals, organize them. Carry your resume and organize any other material. Could be your certificates, testimonials, whatever you need to carry. Organize them in a good way so that when it's finally the interview day, you'll feel ready, and organize your materials. Okay, so before an interview, it's now Monday, the morning of the interview. Please turn your phone in advance. Always turn off your phone. Don't even leave it on vibrate because it will distract you. Turn it off, place it away until you finally be done with the interview. So always remember to turn it off. Another thing, you should turn your phone off before you get out of your house to go get a cab or whatever means of transport you're going with. Turn off that phone. Okay, after that you get to the company, place, the interview room. Always make sure that you get there on time. You shouldn't be late. Give yourself like an extra 20 to 30 minutes. You're supposed to be there at 8, be there at 7:30 or 7:40. Yeah, give yourself like 20 minutes. Always be conscious about a potential traffic problem. There might be traffic, so you have to leave your place earlier than you should. So You can also start practicing your salary expectations. How much do you expect to be paid? They mostly ask this question, so start as early as possible to prepare your salary expectations. And before the interview, always prepare a few questions. Prepare a few questions so that you'll ask the interviewers at an appropriate time. Meanwhile, just before all these that I've mentioned, make sure you've brushed up your communication skills. Have a problem with anything, make sure you look into it, brush up your communication skills, give yourself some courage, and be ready for that interview. Break a leg. Okay, so we now go to during an interview. What are you supposed to do during an interview? First, always always create a good first impression. From our previous video, I said the first impression is always created within the first 7 to 17 seconds of introduction. Always aim at creating a good first impression. Maintain a positive body language. Be confident. Keep your head high, chin up. Be confident. You have to maintain eye contact. Always look at the people interviewing you in the eyes. Show them that you're confident. Show them that you're ready for that job. And you can also present a strong handshake, and you can also put on a smile. Yeah, you can also put on a smile. Show them. Use anything that will show them that you're confident and ready for that job. You're the person who's supposed to get that job. Okay. Number 2, always use, during interviews, always use the 1-minute pitch. They ask you a question, take your time, take a minute, think about it, prepare for your question, and plan out your focus, and always emphasize on the relevant skills. Use the 1-minute pitch to think about it, focus and emphasize on the relevant skills. You'll probably have a lot running in your head, but use the 1-minute pitch to focus on what you want to talk about. Okay. During an interview, always work towards avoiding negative statements. Even if you're asked a negative question, always try to answer positively. Portray yourself in a positive light. They give you a negative question, find a way to answer it positively. One thing about interview, they want to find a way to make you talk negatively about either your former organization, your former workmates, your former boss. Avoid that. Always make sure that you stay positive. Something else you have to focus on is your skills. Remember, they're interviewing you. They want to know the skills that you have, how you'll benefit their company or organization. So always focus on your skills. Focus on the skills you can implement immediately. Remember, you have a lot playing on in your head. So the 1-minute pitch, to focus on something you can implement immediately. These employers only want to know how you will help their company, how you will positively contribute to their company. Okay, another thing, during an interview, tell your story. Support your claim of being the best candidate. Show them that you're the best candidate. Provide examples of situations which made you develop and which made you the best at what you do. Yeah. Always tell your story. Show them that you're the one for that job. Okay, during an interview, there's always that issue about money. How much will they pay you? How much do you expect? Never bring this topic during the interview. At the beginning of the interview, you wait for an appropriate time. Wait until at least the end of the interview to ask about the job's financial particulars. You don't ask about that topic at the beginning of the interview. No, that will ruin that interview for you. Okay, that is during the interview. What about after the interview? What do you do after the interview? Yeah, you're supposed to do something. Most people go on and forget about that interview. But that's not what you're supposed to do. After every interview, make sure you write down a thank you note. Thank the company or the organization for shortlisting you for the interview, for calling you in for the interview. Always send a thank you note. Handwritten thank you notes are always the best. They are always preferable. Just write a note. They might change their mind. They might change their mind and consider you for that job anyway. Also, after the interview, never twitch. Nowadays we have social media, this and that, everything uh, thrown on social media. But when it comes to interview, after an interview, don't tweet about the details of the interview. Don't do that. Okay, so that's what you do before an interview, during an interview, and after an interview. Now, there's some questions that are common in most interviews, and we look at some of them. I have 10 questions there they might ask you in an interview. Question 1, tell me about yourself. Someone asks you, tell me about yourself. What do you think you're supposed to say? Remember, 1 minute pitch. Take a minute, focus on. We've talked about what you're supposed to do before an interview, during an interview, and after an interview. So, before an interview, make sure you prepare yourself, research, prepare your dress code. Among other things, during an interview, always remember, apart from being well dressed, being prepared, you have to have a positive body language, be confident, organize your papers, and answer questions honesty. Among other things, after an interview, send a thank you note. Now, we want to look at 10 questions they might ask you during an interview. Number 1, tell me about yourself. So they ask you to tell them about yourself. What do you think you should do? In this case, you have to briefly share details about how you got to where you are today. Details about how you got to where you are today. You can tie in those experiences to the skills you have that are relevant to the position. You have to keep it brief, but be able to have additional information in case the interviewer asks you to elaborate on what you said. I have an example here. Tell me about yourself. I've been working for the past 3 years. This can be me. I've been working for the past 3 years in this school. In this case, you mentioned the name of the school. I started out as a teaching assistant, then got promoted to a full-time teacher. Meanwhile, I graduated from the University of Eldoret with a major in Education Arts, English, and Literature. That is how I answer the question. Tell me about yourself, but you can still add more information. Always remember to be brief about everything. Educational background, work experience, give them briefly, and be ready to provide more information in case they ask you to elaborate. Number 2, why did you leave your last job? Now they ask you why you left your previous job. Always remember to answer positively. Set a reason in a positive manner. If you're currently employed, explain that your career goals don't line up with the company's direction. If you are recently let go, give them a brief overview without bashing your previous employer. Just give them a brief overview, but don't talk negatively about your previous employer. Number 3, what experience do you have in this field? They ask you what experience you have. What do you say? You speak about the specifics that relate to this position you're applying for. If you don't have specific experiences, you can try to get as close as you can. Come up with something that is related to this position. Question number 4, why should we hire you? Yeah, most Interviewers ask this question: why should we hire you? In this case, you need to create a short, detailed sales pitch in order to sell yourself. Explain why you deserve this job. Explain why you're the best person for this job. Emphasize on what makes you unique. In this case, talk about your strengths. Yeah, always build confidence in interviewers. Always emphasize on what makes you unique to build confidence in the interviewer's decision to hire you. Another question they might ask you: what is something positive your boss will say about you? What is something positive your boss will say about you? In this case, brag about yourself with someone else's words. Brag about yourself, but with someone else's words. In this case, your previous boss's words. You can say, my boss has always said this and that. My boss has always told me I'm the most punctual person he has ever met. So that it's clear you understand the question. Also, when you answer this question, you should stay humble and refrain from sounding arrogant. Number 6, they might ask you, what is your greatest strength? What is your greatest strength? In this case, you have to discuss what qualifies you for the position and what may set you apart from the other candidates. What do you think qualifies you for the position? Tell them that. What do you think sets you apart from the other candidates? You can go on and tell them that. While talking about your strengths, always remember about the job description. Yeah, while reading the job description, you should always be careful to use what they want as your strength. In case the job description said we need someone who is passionate and has good communication skills, you should incorporate these to your strengths. You should say, my greatest strength is I'm passionate about my job, and I also have good communication skills. Talk about the must-have and the required skills that they as part of your strength. Yeah. Number 7 question: what do you know about this organization? As I said before, do your research about that organization. Know what is happening. Know who are the major team players of that organization, so that if they ask you about what you know about the organization, you talk about what is happening, what are the current issues, who are the major players, and so on. Question 8, what have you done to improve your knowledge in the last year? What have you done to improve your knowledge? In this case, include improvement activities that relate to the job. Include improvement activities that relate to the job. A wide variety of activities can be mentioned as positive self-improvement. Okay. Question 9, what do co-workers say about you? What do co-workers say about you? In this case, you can use a quote or a paraphrase from your former co-workers or your previous co-workers. Either specific statement or paraphrase will always work. You can say, Miss Judy of this school, in my case, I'd say Miss Judy of this school always said I was the hardest worker she had ever seen. You can use the exact words, you can paraphrase what they said to answer this question. Number 10, finally the final question. Do you consider yourself successful? Always remember to answer positively. Do you consider yourself successful? Even if you're not, you are successful. Yeah. So always answer yes. and briefly explain why. Why are you successful? A good explanation is that you have set goals and you have met some, and you are on track to achieve the others. You have set goals, you have met some, and you are on track to achieve the others. So that has been it on the 10 questions you might be asked on an interview. What to do before, during, and after an interview. I really hope this video was educative, informative, and I hope you learned something. And as you prepare for that interview, go break a leg. It's been your host, Miss Shirley. This is CNGTV. Please subscribe, please like my videos, and please leave a comment. Tell me what you think. It's been nice creating this, and as we end the year, I wish you a happy new year. Goodbye.